hub areas are literally so central to From Software's Soulsborne games, and you spend so much time in them, revisiting them, going back and forth, that ironically it's tempting to take them for granted. It's tempting to think of them more in terms of function versus form, but I've always been smitten with these places. They help make these games what they are, and many other devs have attempted to replicate the FromSoft hub vibe, but these 7 locations from Demon's Souls to Elden Ring are just so special to me. I've spent so many hours occupying them, examining them, just soaking in all the details, that I thought, why not rank them? Now look, these hubs would be kind of a strange thing to attempt to objectively rank, right? Like, you'd find yourself going back to function versus form and maybe arguing, oh, well, Firelink in DS1 is better connected to its game world than the Dilapidated Temple in Sekiro. And yeah, that's probably true, but I'm just not as interested in that discussion, so this is super subjective. This is just me looking back at these games I've been playing for 13, 14 years now, and reflecting on the hub aesthetics, the music, the color palettes, a little bit on the function and the design and the NPC populations. But yeah, these are just my thoughts and feelings, and I'll be very interested to hear your personal hub ranking down in the comments. I love all of them, but I am ranking them from number 7 to number 1, with number 1 being my very favorite. So let's get into it. At number 7, Roundtable Hold. I'll probably get some grief for this. I know people love Roundtable, and I do too. I just don't love it quite as much as the others. For me, I think it's how claustrophobic the hub is. For the most part, the ceilings are low, the corridors are narrow, but it's still a gorgeous space. It truly feels like a warrior's hall, a place where lands between badasses from long ago would raise their mugs, fine-tune their weapons, and try to catch some shut-eye. I love the towers of books in Gideon's chamber. It feels like there's a lot of knowledge in this place, like if only the walls covered with portraits of Godfrey and Marika could speak. Everywhere you turn, there's crackling fireplaces, glowing wall sconces. It's easy to get comfortable here. You know, minus the Dung Eater, the hairy fingers, the lifeless maiden husks, and Ensha, wearing armor made of human bones. The music is so lulling, so relaxing, but of course, and from fashion, a little haunting too, a little unnerving, and there's just so many interesting NPCs here. There's comings and goings, people you can miss, quests you can initiate or advance. There is a little verticality, some stairs, the big entrance chamber you can hop down into. I only wish they had done more with the imp statues. Wouldn't it have been fun to unlock more rooms? Maybe those rooms kept going down and down into a big basement, I don't know. But from Fia, the cloaked woman who hugs you and tells you everything's okay, to Master Hugh, the cryptic and imprisoned misbegotten blacksmith, there's a lot to enjoy about this place. Number 6, Firelink Shrine from Dark Souls 1. Again, I'll probably catch some grief for this, because I wouldn't be surprised if for some people this hub was number 1 on their list, because it is so good, it's so classic, and functionally you can argue that it's the very best hub From has ever designed. You go this way, you're heading down into the cemetery and the catacombs. You go that way, you're riding a lift up to the parish. That way, you're riding a lift down to New Londo. That way, you're heading into the Burg. Plus this evolving cast of NPCs, plus Framped, plus the rooftop platforming and the hidden chests and the giant crow who will fly you to and from the asylum. You can gaze up toward the walls of Anor Londo, down toward Blighttown. Lordran was designed to be a highly interconnected world, and Firelink really drives this home. It's the anchor. But I just personally find it kind of drab and unattractive. I don't know what else to say, and I'm somebody who loves earth tones, greens and browns and grays, but given how beautiful I find most of the other hubs to be, I do struggle, despite its incredible function and design, to rank DS1 Firelink higher than this. And it kind of lacks a strong Firekeeper personality too. I know there's Anastasia locked up below the flame. We feel bad for Anastasia, but she's not the doll, she's not the Emerald Herald, not the Maiden in Black, so I do appreciate this place a lot. It's just not at the top of my list. And just to be super clear, I don't feel like FromSoft messed up here or anything and accidentally created an ugly hub. Not at all. I believe they rendered this place exactly as they intended to. I mean, if they were designing it today, it would definitely pop more. I mean, you could almost imagine the blue point treatment, right? Like more textural detail, more moss, more overgrowth. But I don't think there's anything wrong with the hub exactly the way it is, exactly the way it was rendered for 2011. In a lot of ways, it's very cool. This broken, busted up temple, now exposed to the elements on the cliffside, totally overshadowed, literally and figuratively, in this dying kingdom. Number 5, the Dilapidated Temple from Sekiro. Based on the vibes alone, I really want to rank this one higher because it's so gorgeous. The gently falling snow, the slowly swaying bamboo trees cut with rays of soft sunlight. It's such a serene setting. So fitting for this game world. You have the bitter sculptor inside the temple repeatedly carving cursed Buddha statue after cursed Buddha statue. Emma lurking, watching, listening. Your immortal training buddy, Hanbei the Undying. The temple itself feels like a lost and forgotten place, as a lot of the FromSoft hub areas do. But this temple, it has a mix of good and bad energy about it. Those Ofuda talismans, dozens and dozens of them hanging all over the face of the temple, imbued with the power of Kami, supposedly to ensure safety and keep away evil. I don't know, something about them flapping in the breeze. They're as reassuring as they are unsettling. My only knock to this hub is the obvious one. It doesn't feel super central to the game map, and there's not as much to do here as there usually is in FromSoft hubs. Now, Sekiro is more of an action game than an RPG. It's a different kind of game, and I do think this hub suits it just fine, but yeah, it would have been nice to have just a little more meat on the bones because this place already feels so unique. Number 4, The Hunter's Dream. A little slice of Yharnam on an island, floating in the clouds. This is about as otherworldly as any FromSoft hub has ever been. It's haunting, it's beautiful. It's the only hub where you can experience a full-fledged boss battle. That's kind of neat. That from waking up here early on to battling Gehrman at the end of the base game, the dream kind of bookends your experience with Bloodborne in a way, which is a nice touch. The workshop, inside and outside, just feels like home. It pulls you in. The crackling fire, the bookshelves and workbench, all the gravestones outside, the messengers, the foliage, the moon, always looming overhead. Ryan Amon's incredible hub theme. I can't recall if it's played on a cello or a viola, but it's one of my favorite pieces of music in any of From's games. And it was really hard not to rank this place even higher than I did. And I probably didn't because despite how gorgeously it's rendered, it is a bit small and a bit sparse compared to most of the other hubs. But I can't really knock it for that because if it were any larger or if it were any more crowded, it would cease to be what it is. The magic would be lost. And one more side note about this place. From has this very cool convention of allowing you during a playthrough to discover alternate, more grounded versions of their hub areas. And I don't think any of these instances in any of their games shocked me as much as the workshop. Finding the real location of this place in Yharnam for the first time, that was such an unforgettable moment. Number 3, Firelink Shrine from DS3. For a long time, I might have ranked DS3 Firelink number 1 on my list. Years ago, I was a DS3 speedrunner, not a world record contender or anything like that, but I was pretty competent, and mainly that just means I've spent so many hours in this game. And that means this hub just feels like home to me. I don't know how else to explain it. I love the Nexus-inspired double staircase rotunda design. I love how this is basically the most Dark Souls-y place in all of Dark Souls. Piles of ash, pulling water, melting candles, the big smoldering thrones. Those are just such a cool motif. Some people might find this place too grimy, kind of like I find the DS1 hub a bit grimy, but I don't know, something about DS3 Firelink, it just clicks with me. I love how large the space is too, even though you're mostly underground. There's multiple levels, rafters, tons of NPCs and merchants. It's a very alive hub, but then you can go above ground. outside and the sky opens up. You can kind of platform your way onto the rooftop or climb up the old bell tower. There's enemies, there's secrets. The 360-degree mountain views are simply stunning. You're in the shadow of Lothar Castle in this lost, forgotten place. Number 2, Majula. This is another hub that could easily be number 1 on my list or anyone else's. I feel like I'm kind of splitting hairs at this point in my list. But this place, it's so inviting. The warm color palette, that unforgettable music, the sprawling design. It's not a compact dome or anything, but a little coastal village, a settlement. You can see Cardinal Tower and Hyde's Flame out in the sea. Drangley Castle is visible on the other side of the Forest of Fallen Giants. In all directions, you do get a great sense of place from Majula. And what about the mansion? Who lived there? Was it Aldia? Someone else? You have Sweet Shalaquar, one of my favorite all-time FromSoft NPCs. Malin, the down on his luck armorer, who becomes more and more arrogant the more money you spend with him. Salden, maybe my favorite crestfallen character ever. The Emerald Herald. She's not really a true Firekeeper in the way, let's say, the DS3 Firekeeper is, but that only adds to her mystery. In the pit, a giant pit in the ground that leads to who knows where, at least as far as the first-time player is concerned. I think that was such a stroke of genius. And a game with fall damage to put a hole in the middle of the hub that you just cannot resist dropping into. And there's multiple ways to safely descend into the pit, but one of them is to pay a man named Laddersmith Gilligan. It's so absurd. It's so good. I could rant on and on about this place. Many people have. But if you know, you know, in a game series full of special locations, Majula is about as special as it gets. In number 1, the OG, the Nexus. The rotunda design, the double staircases, the cranky smith, the unconfident merchant, Yurt, the original hub menace. This is where modern FromSoft hubs started, and I think to this day it's still the best one. And part of that is the Maiden in Black, with her staff, dirty feet, waxed over eyes, and a demon inside her. She's still the GOAT, in my opinion. I love so many things about this place, but my very favorite quality about it is the openness. There's so much real estate here. Despite it being an enclosed interior area, and there's these stairways kind of to nowhere, big open halls with no one in them, yet it's all there for you to explore. It feels like a place past its prime, with all the emptiness and the deceased monumentals, but it's still so ornate and elegant, yet it's a creepy place too. We're told this is a hidden temple that binds together the lands of Boletaria, and it traps the souls of demon hunters, and it conceals the mighty old one. You have the upside down statue, all the fog and odd geometry and glowing symbols. It was beautiful in the PS3 version, but it's a true feast for the senses in the PS5 remake. Just walking around this place is such a treat, such an experience. Like the Hunter's Dream, it feels otherworldly, but in a different, more fantastical way. And in terms of atmosphere, I cannot think of a single location in any of the other From games that feels anything like the Nexus, and I'm still waiting for From to top it in a future game. All right, that's my list. My personal ranking of the FromSoft hubs. Tell me what you think down in the comments. If my list got you thinking about these hubs differently, or how you'd rank them yourself. Super quick note on Night Rain too. I did not include the new hub area in this list because the game isn't out yet and I had limited time with it in the network test. I think I've determined Night Rain isn't my thing. It's not the kind of game I'm interested in, but the new hub is very cool. It's very gorgeous, and you're actually hearing the music from it right now. So if you enjoyed this video, know that I have years worth of FromSoft content here on the channel, different rankings, podcast discussions, character analyses. So please check things out, and feel free also to swing by my Patreon page where you can unlock even more regular content from me, my monthly newsletter and my Patreon podcast series, and my Discord server too, Terapop's Treehouse. It's a really chill place to talk gaming with like-minded people. So check out those links down in the description. Thanks again for watching, and I will catch you next time.